Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special Halloween edition of Tunnel Vision. I'm your host, Keely, a.k.a. Windy Peppercorn, joined by Ryan Abraham and Shotgun Spratling. Do y'all want to talk about your costumes before we get into it?
I'm John McEnroe. You can't be serious.
Look, I don't want to hear anything from you. That's it. That's 15 yards, unsportsmanlike
Get
conduct.
this out of here.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. I've had enough already from you. I saw you talking to a fan. That's it. That's a 15-yard flag. Don't make me throw anymore. I've got plenty over here. I'm ready to go.
He's got flags, man.
Well done. Yeah, he has flags ready for the show. This will be an interesting one, but a fun one, too, because we're previewing USC's big matchup against number 7 Oregon. It'll be an interesting game for sure. We're going to preview that, talk about how critical this game is for USC, but also Clay Helton. What does this mean? Can USC still control their destiny in the Pac-12? We'll give some injury updates. We got a little bit of an update yesterday at Wednesday's practice. You can also call us, 512-4TUNNEL. Free therapy, as I always say. If you want to tell us what your Halloween costume is, too, you can do that as well. You can also tweet at us, #TunnelVision, and I'll put your tweet up on the screen. And as usual, wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Periscope, or Facebook, you can put your comments, questions, concerns. I don't know what Ryan's doing right now. Look at that.
Look at those socks.
The dedication there.
I can't see that far away.
We will answer your questions and put them up on the screen. But good stuff for you today. Guys, where do you want to start? This is a big matchup, like I said. Shotgun, you look like you're ready to just spit some hot takes.
Yeah, I think we should start with favorite Halloween candy and how candy corn is terrible. Just for Sean.
Candy corn is amazeballs. You can't be serious.
Candy corn is awful.
Candy corn's terrible.
I do love
so
candy.
Bad.
Shout out to my buddy Sean.
Yeah.
Sean Rose out there loves candy corn too. And Trinice too. She loves candy corn.
Candy corn and those weird peanut things are the two worst Halloween candies.
What are the peanut things?
They're just terrible. They're like
these are
shaped
good.
like
but
orange
you didn't say
peanuts.
What they were.
These are good. M&Ms are good.
They're
Legit.
orange peanuts.
They're Snickers
you never
over
had
there.
Those before?
No. Yeah, those are awful. Those are like circus peanuts. Yeah, you don't want to get those.
I'm the only one who has a whistle in this group, by the way. So
true.
If rapid fire gets too
we all
long,
got props.
I'll keep y'all in check.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna need that whistle with this guy beside me.
No,
I'm gonna need that.
That's true. Nice. We didn't know what Chaka was gonna be, so it was a nice sports thing. Y'all can keep each other in check. How about that?
Well, you're from a sports movie, so
True.
The Sandlot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, guys. We didn't plan this, but we did a good job. But Halloween candy, Shotgun, that's where you want to start?
Yeah.
Favorite?
I'm gonna go with Reese's like Fast Break or Take 5. Those are limited.
I mean, the peanut butter cups are awesome.
Yeah, anything with peanut butter is a good start.
There's not like real like Halloween specific candy outside of like candy corn. Like
there's not anything good.
Like Easter, there's a bunch of cool stuff. Like you get the Cadbury cream eggs and the mini eggs, which are amazeballs, by the way. But for Halloween, it's mostly like candy corn's like the new candy that comes out, right? Everything else is just like your regular candy, just in big bags.
I've gotten some white chocolate like Ghost Reese's. Those are really good.
Oh, okay.
Ryan, someone pointed out that he's left-handed, so you're not selling
Son
it really
of a
well.
bitch. Okay.
Ryan.
Oh. He would swear, so I'm in character.
True. Well done.
He would yell at everyone.
Method acting.
Like, yeah, Keely wasn't really sure, like
too
John
much,
McEnroe.
Too much.
She wasn't sure about John McEnroe. Like, yeah, he was like the ultimate brat. I was total 80s thing. I did a costume this morning where I was the greatest American hero. Like, do you know what that show is?
No.
Okay, it's an 80s show, but believe it or not, I'm walking on air. That was pretty fun. So I'm more of the 80s. I'm an old guy. I'm just showing my age this year.
Yeah.
Or every year. Yeah.
Someone said that the Sandlot came out in '93, which I didn't believe, but it did, which is crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it holds up well. Good movie.
Yeah, she's like 100 years old now, Wendy Peppercorn in real life. No, I'm just kidding.
One of my top sports movies.
It's really amazing.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie for sure. Alrighty, well, let's get into what we're actually here to talk about. USC versus number 7 Oregon. I guess first off, Ryan, you just came off a preview podcast. What stood out to you about Oregon when talking about them?
Ducks are pretty good. They had that great stretch, 5 games in a row, where the defense gave up less than 10 points in a row. Pretty crazy that they
Yeah.
were able to do that. Now, they played the Washington schools back-to-back, gave up in the 30s both times. Both were close games. And, the fact that Oregon had to come back and kick a last-second field goal against Washington State was a little concerning. Even, that game was at home as well. The Washington game on the road, you could understand that a little bit more. But this is a really good team. But it's not necessarily, I don't think they're really a juggernaut yet. They definitely are in the college football playoff discussion because of, what they've been able to do. It's a big game. The Cali Flock, there's 49 players on the Ducks that are from California. Lots of names that we have seen that USC was recruiting very hard. The Mace Funos of the world, the Penei Sewells of the world, even like a Kayvon Thibodeau or whatever, like, Micah Pittman, guys that USC wanted typically would get, and then Oregon would be like their number 2 choice. They ended up at Oregon. So there's a big recruiting push. No one recruits right now like Mario Cristobal's staff. Chuckin did a great story in the LA Times about it. They recruit really hard. They recruit Southern California really hard. And this is a big deal, not just for, making a push to the playoff, but for Oregon. They want to come down to Southern California and show these recruits, hey, we are the team now. It's not USC. We're going to be the traditional power. So I think it's a really big deal on both sides. Obviously, USC is still trying to make the championship game, and Clay Helton certainly coaching, and a lot of people feel coaching for his job. It's a big deal. But for Oregon, there's definitely going to be a lot of focus on this game. There might have been a little look ahead from last week. We'll see if Oregon comes out. The thing that impresses me most is the Oregon offensive line, I think, is real. Justin Herbert in the first, I think, 29 minutes of the first half threw 7 passes. They were just running the football. C.J. Verdell got benched. He's leading the Pac-12 in rushing. I know he got banged up in the Washington game, but they can just run it down your throats. We saw what Notre Dame was able to do to USC, had success in the middle. That's a big concern. So you can't let Oregon dictate what's going to happen, and they can do that with their offensive line. So I think you're going to get a fully motivated Oregon team, even though they haven't looked amazing the last couple of weeks, and they're going to come out to play. So USC has to bring their A game.
I think Oregon is also a little bit of a false positive right now, too. I mean, we've seen them play well, but there are some holes in that team that are the concerns. Now, that offensive line is terrific. Penei Sewell on the left has been the number 1 graded offensive lineman in the country.
Like all year, basically.
A guy that USC wanted to play guard. I was talking with Chris Trevino about this, and part of the reason why he didn't want to go to USC was looking at him at a guard instead of tackle, and he's been mauling folks. He is terrific.
So that was a bad decision USC made.
A little bit. Now
very strange.
They were still recruiting him hard and everything too, but they just did not sell. I've got plenty. Okay. You don't have to worry. I'm prepared for you today for all your bad takes.
Well done.
But I think that there's some holes in other areas. I don't think Justin Herbert is a true 1-1 candidate. I don't think he's that legit quarterback that people think he is. I think there's holes in his game. Now, he can make some special throws, but he also just doesn't make some other throws, and you're just like, if you're going to be a first-round pick, you expect those throws to be made. So there's times when he doesn't play really well, and what helps him is that offensive line, and then get the play action going. So it's all about stopping the run for USC to me in this game, because if you don't stop the run, one, they're going to try to run it over and over, just like you said they did against Washington State, but then you open up the play action for Herbert and make things easier on him. He's got a lot of yards this season, or a pretty good amount of yards, but they do really well in the screen games. They do really well scheming things open for him. It's not like he's just, ripping the ball in there all the time.
No.
So I think that he is to an extent, a weak link on that offense, which, if you're coming into the season, you'd be like, what the hell? How could, Justin Herbert, guy they're talking about being the number 1 overall pick, be the weak link on the offense? But I think the offensive line is that good, for one. Their receivers are much better than they were previously.
They are, yeah.
They're catching the ball. That didn't help last year for him.
They had 50 drops or something last year. It was some ridiculous number.
They led the nation in drops last year. But you've seen their defense also the last couple of weeks. that whole stretch where they didn't give up many points. They didn't play many really good teams in that stretch, offensive teams at least. The one probably good team offensively they played was Colorado, but that was at home. Colorado's a different team, home and away.
Colorado was banged up in that game too.
Yeah.
But Colorado got.
It's still impressive. 5 games in a row, no one got double digits in points. That's pretty impressive. No matter who you play, tomato cans. That's still pretty impressive.
But all those teams were under 300 total yards. Colorado's 299. Some of the other ones, below 250. The last 2 weeks though, they've given up 433 total yards and 446.
Yeah.
Now Washington State didn't run the ball at all. 15 carries for 40 yards, but they threw it for 406 yards.
Yeah.
Which tells you there are holes there, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to me to see the USC offense and USC's Graham Harrell version of air raid coming right after Washington State and Mike Leach's version of air raid. What can USC take away from that game and use against Oregon? I think that's going to be a key for this game too. If they can build off of what Washington State did, some of the things they did well in that game.
Well, if you watch that game, Washington State did a really good job getting the ball to Max Borghi out of the backfield. I mean, that was probably their most effective play. I mean, they were really good at doing that. And that's just not something that USC does. USC is going to run the ball more than what Washington State did. I thought Washington State played their best game of the year, but Max Borghi was absolutely a beast. And so many of the passes were not down the field passes. They were kind of underneath and let the guys run. So I thought they were really effective doing that.
Well, I'm curious what we'll see from USC's offense, just because we haven't really had another update as far as running back depth. It seems like they're in the same position as far as what they did against Colorado. So we'll probably see more, as you like to say, Ryan, air raidy from USC rather than what we're used to seeing. Probably.
Was that not a great call when I told you guys on television it was going to be
done.
more air raidy, and they come out 5 wides for the first time?
Yeah,
Bam.
a lot of Velus Jones and whatnot.
But so for our practice this week, still no Stephen Carr, still no Vavai Malapai, and still no Marquis Stepp
out for a while.
So
Marquis Stepp was on the cart. He had the little scooter, and he was carrying Stephen Carr out the tunnel. out the gate yesterday.
So you would think you're still, obviously now you get a start under his belt. Well, I guess he technically didn't start because they came out with 5 wides. But having Keenan Christian, that a little bit more experience, he got 14 carries in that game. So more than Marquis Stepp has had in a game, which is kind of crazy. Or maybe his last game, Stepp might have had more. But would we see a little Dominic Davis? You're going to see more Quincy Jonte, whatever.
Amon-Ra.
Or more Amon-Ra. So,
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see more kind of 5 wides. You want to win this game, you got to, it's like your ride or die. What's your ride or die on this team? It's the wide receiver. So throw the ball to your great wide receivers and have them make plays.
What's interesting is, they started in that. They went to 3. They had 3 drives where they went away from it. They went back to it, had success again. So both their touchdowns in the first half were primarily 5 wides.
Yeah.
They didn't use it at all in the second half.
True.
Interesting.
None at all. So, Velus Jones played 14 snaps, 7 each in the first and second quarters on each of those 2 drives, 2 touchdown drives. He didn't play at all in the second half on offense. So, it was interesting. I think they went to Keenan Christian, and I think that he gained trust with his ability to block. I think that was a big part of it. Now, at the end of the game, they went to Quincy Jonte to, one, block a little bit more, but also be able to pick the short yardage, 3rd and 1 up, and then they had a second and 1. I think he picked up a first down as well. So he didn't get his first carry until that that penultimate drive, the game-winning drive for him. So that was,
and it was like a critical situation too.
And they bunched up the formation. This is what I said they shouldn't do with Marquis Stepp in the very first game when people were clamoring for him, and instead they go for it. So it was an interesting.
It might have been a thing where if you put Quincy in, you don't think you're going to run the football. Maybe they're not going to let him run the football. Maybe maybe it was something like that.
I think Keenan got a little banged up in that sequence though.
He was banged up a couple plays before that, before they picked up the first down, because Quincy went in for one play, came back out. There was the fumble, and then Quincy came back in after Keenan recovered that fumble. Quincy came back in for 4 straight plays. So he was in for the 19-yard gain, and then it was 3rd and 1. They hurried to the line and gave the ball to him. So it was an interesting time to use him because he had only played. that was the first time he played in that drive. So he had played 2 snaps before he got that carry.
Yeah. Crazy.
On offense. He does play a lot of special teams as well. So we'll see how they continue to mix and match there. I think that Keenan Christian gained some confidence, but also what if they need somebody to break a tackle? Because Keenan Christian, like I said, on Sunday, he didn't break any tackles in the game. He's got game-changing speed. He's got to be able to make a guy miss, though, to get to get beyond that second level. And Oregon's going to do a much better job than Colorado, a much better job than Arizona as far as having guys at each level that make tackles. I trust those guys in the back end of that Oregon defense, the Thomas Grahams, the Yamador Lenores, guys that have been playing for 3-4 years, Nick Pickett, that they will make tackles when they need to versus someone from the Arizona or Colorado secondary a little bit more.
Yeah.
Graham Harrell highlighted how Keaton Slovis is making better decisions in the past 2 games. He's not really forcing it, and that's going to be critical against this Oregon secondary. They have 14 interceptions on the season. What have you seen from this backfield in that sense, Ryan?
Yeah, this is it's going to be interesting because Oregon does do a good job. They're number 3 in the country in turnover margin, number 1 in the Pac-12. USC's number 12 in the Pac-12. I think number 118 in the country. You mentioned they get after the quarterback. They have the most sacks in the Pac-12. I think with for Slovis, it's going to be more of keep making those good decisions. Now there was some questionable things that were happening as far as like losing the ball, a couple of fumbles, that shuffle pass and stuff, but we haven't seen him throw in the kind of don't throw that ball and it's going to be picked off sort of thing. There was the one play that was behind. It was behind Tyler Vaughn. I think it was just a bad pass. I don't think it was a bad decision.
Not just the interception,
double pump?
but also flag on you for not remembering the play right before he fumbled the ball. He's getting chased.
Pass.
No, he's getting not the first fumble in the first half when he's getting chased out of the pocket. He just kind of gives this number, and it goes right off the hands.
That's true. Yeah.
Josh Fallow's brother.
And Josh Fallow's brother again. He had 3 chances in this game because he should have recovered both of those fumbles. He had the first opportunity both times. He batted one back to Drake London. He
was a sleeper.
Has a chance to fall on top of the other one, and it bounces away to Keenan Christensen.
Yeah.
So. Maybe he was a sleeper agent.
Nice. But certainly he's got to make some better decisions. He's got to take care of the football better. This is an Oregon squad. Now, they've lost their best pass rusher a few weeks ago. They haven't been getting after the quarterback at the same level as they have been like in the early part of the season. I think they only had 1 sack against Washington State. It might have only been 1 against Washington. So it's not like they're sacking 3 times a game like right now. But you can't let them get back to that because they've been doing that before. They can take the football away. They don't give the football up a lot. So for USC, I think this is one where you didn't win the turnover battle against Colorado. You can still win the game. I think you have to win the turnover battle against Oregon or you're not going to win the game.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yes. Now, on the other side of the ball, like you said, Ryan, everyone thinks about this Oregon offensive line, and that's something when it comes to USC's team. One of the things that they touted, at least at the beginning of the season, was their defensive line. So how much of this is going to be a battle in the trenches? USC does get Christian Rector back. Would you rather go with speed against this offensive line? What's the weakness that you can maybe attack with how stout that they are?
Yeah, that's a good. I think you're going to have to swarm to the ball no matter what. They're going to need support, but you love the way the tackles have been playing, and outside of the Notre Dame game, all the stuff up the middle when they've done the 4-man front, they've done a really good job of stopping the inside runs, and I think if you can take that away from Oregon, Utah.
So sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
On Keely.
Flag on me. My goodness.
Flags.
Flag
Producer.
on the internet. No, sorry about that. It was a spooky version of tunnel vision.
Yeah,
I'm fairly certain Larry Scott's trying to hold me back.
It's true.
we rely on the internet somehow. I don't know if I don't think Periscope came back.
Okay. Well,
We'll
shouts to our YouTube people. We will be back.